Addict. You know, crack addict. He's a crack addict, smoking crack addict.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. I just can't understand it. But defined by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like a treated guy. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the fucking spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. I guess I do this show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. If you'd like to support this podcast and get the entire audio and video capture, including red light, sent to you tomorrow, I guess it'd be Monday, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/EchoPlex or at our fourth wall shop, eplex.store. Sign up at the $5 or higher level, and the entire show gets put in your inbox the day before it goes out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you are following this show. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, as well as on the telephone application Grindr. And this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
Well, in more of the Democrats are a completely useless political party news, here's Chuck Schumer. He thinks that attempting to invoke some really old rule is actually going to cause the DOJ to release the files related to Jeffrey Epstein.
Very old and little-known law known as the Rule of Five to compel the Department of Justice to release the full and complete Epstein files. Under federal law, when any 5 senators on the Homeland Security Committee call on the executive branch must comply. Our request covers all documents, files, evidence, and other materials in possession of the DOJ, the FBI. Victims' identities can and must be of top importance. The public has a right to know who enabled, knew of, or participated in one of the most heinous sex trafficking operations in history. Let me remind everyone of what's happened in recent months. Donald Trump campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. He broke that promise. In February, FBI Director Kash Patel promised during sworn testimony in his confirmation hearing he would, quote, make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Well, that has yet to happen. A.G. Bondi said in February that his supposed, quote, client list, she said, was sitting on her. 5 months later, we have 0 answers, only more questions.
They're not going to do anything. They're going to be like, oh, that's a cute request that you sent us. They're not going to do anything. What's the Congress going to do? I'm going to shoot them? They're not going to do anything. Congress has no power, really. This is what we're learning here, is that the congressional branch, the judicial branch, they have no actual power because all the law enforcement is under the executive branch. So I'm sure it's I'm sure a bunch of blue wave kind of people on Blue Sky were super stoked because that means we're going to get the files or whatever. But no, it doesn't. We're not going to get no files. It's incorrect. So I think Trump's going to probably pardon Ghislaine Maxwell if she plays ball. That's just what I think is going to happen.
She, of course, has been convicted of grooming, recruiting, abusing young teenage girls along with Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Speaker, Maxwell's attorney said she answered all questions honestly and truthfully, but do you think that Ghislaine Maxwell can be trusted?
Well, I mean, look, it's a good question. I hope so. I hope that she would want to come clean. We certainly are interested in knowing everything that she knows. And as you'll note, in our House Republican majority, we're working towards that. Chairman Comer and our Oversight Committee has already issued their own subpoena. They want to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell as well. I hope she's telling the truth. She is convicted. She is serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking. And so her character is in some question. But
in some question, oh my God.
Service to the country.
Dude, she's fucking telling you, motherfucker. Come on, dude. She's doing what anybody would do. She's telling you what she thinks you want to hear because she thinks she can get something out of it. Come on. Let's just pretend that we exist in the same fucking world just for a minute here.
We'd like to know every single bit of information that she has. I certainly hope she's telling the truth.
Well, listen, this week, President Trump didn't rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, that's one of the big questions looming over all of this. So let me put this to you, Mr. Speaker. Would you support a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker?
Well, I mean, obviously that's a decision of the president. He said he had not adequately considered that. I won't get in front of him. That's not my lane. My lane is to help direct and control the House of Representatives and to use every tool within our arsenal to get to the truth. I'm going to say this as clearly and plainly and repeatedly as I can over and over. We are for maximum disclosure. We want all transparency. I trust the American people.
We're for a Maxwell disclosure. We don't want to release documents related to the investigations of Jeff Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but we'll let her go. Well, we actually want her to tell you a little story.
Republicans believe that they should have all this information to be able to determine what they will, but we have to protect the innocent, and that's the only safeguard here that we've got to be diligent about, and I'm insistent upon doing so.
Why can't the dude just be like, no, I would not be in favor of the president pardoning this person. This person did horrible crimes, and I don't think the president liked it. You're not getting out in the front of the president, but they're all terrified of Donald Trump. So what they're gonna do is whatever he says. And mostly the Democrats are gonna do whatever Donald Trump says too. So this one's interesting. We got Newsmax. We got Greg Kelly on Newsmax doing a little bit of manufacturing of consent here, I think. He was suggesting last week that Ghislaine Maxwell, to the extent that she may be guilty, was also a victim. Now, I don't know, maybe she's fucking innocent. Check this out.
You know, it's interesting. That was right at the peak height of, Ghislaine Maxwell didn't have a friend in the world. He could have easily gotten away with saying, you know, what the media wanted to hear. But he didn't. And I find that remarkably human. And it's telling, and it signals to me that there's something else going on here, and that it's...
It would be if he'd never met her and didn't know her and fucking just thought maybe she got a raw deal because that's not what's going on.
Justice. It reminds me of when President Trump, among anybody in the country really in public office, he would talk about Ashley Babbitt. Do you remember that? And he...
Oh no, they're not doing that. Really? They're not doing that. Oh, this is fucking amazing. This is absolutely fucking amazing.
Nothing, really, politically, from talking about that. I mean, he scored points with me and those who know the truth about Ashley Babbitt, but there are a lot of folks, Republicans even.
The truth about Ashley Babbitt is that she was in the Capitol, and a person in a suit with fucking cufflinks pointed a gun at her and told her to stop. If a person with a suit and cufflinks pulls a gun on you inside of a government building, they will shoot you. They are not the cops.
Talk about January 6th. He did. It reminds me of the kind of the
cops will shoot you too, but
Ghislaine Maxwell,
the person in the suit will shoot you quicker.
He would talk about, and he did it in a certain way. Now, folks, I know people are horrified when I say there's a possibility that this individual just might be innocent. But think about it. Who's told us about her? the most reviled institutions in America, right? The media and the Biden Justice Department.
And Jeffrey Epstein's victims and her victims.
Right? They did the heavy lifting on this stuff.
Oh my fucking God. No, dude, no. I can't believe. Oh, there's more from Greg Kelly. I fucking can't believe this. This is fucking amazing. This is fucking amazing. It's absolutely fucking amazing. Here's another. Oh no, this is from this. This is okay. Sometimes I pull things that are wrong. I only had one clip. The other clip I had was actually just the same clip, just a different part of it, or a shorter bit of it. Oh, you know, these files that either exist or don't exist, or have information or don't have information, or whatever. To the extent that they may or may not exist, they were tampered with by the Biden Department of Justice.
First of all, the files were run by some very bad people and very sick people like Comey and Lisa, the whole group, all those people in that office. They ran those files for 4 years. And if they were going to use the files, they would have used it before my election. Right. Because unless they're stupid, which to a certain extent they are stupid.
You're saying they would have released the information?
Well, they had the files. They control the files. Yes. I didn't control the files. They controlled the files for 4 years. So if they had something, they would have released it before the election, because they are not geniuses, but they're evil. Right. There are a lot of evil people. So I can't really tell you much other than Todd went in, and I think he just wants to make sure that innocent people aren't hurt. But you'd have to speak to him about it.
Okay. I want to ask you about this.
So all this innocent people aren't hurt. Like, if people are witnesses and victims, redact their names. Just redact their names. That way nobody who's innocent gets hurt or whatever. But that's not what he means. He means that his friends who were up in there. That's what he means. He means his friends, his buddies. Maybe people who have some dirt on him are in there. Who fucking knows? Anyway, he keeps saying this, and I guess it's true. He has the right to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
Let me ask you, Mr. President, just about pardons. I've got 3 names for you. And the first one, look, the media didn't care about this story when Joe Biden was in office. Suddenly they care about this story again. Ghislaine Maxwell serving 20 years.
Nobody cared about this story when Joe Biden was in office. Now everybody cares about it at Friends. Come on, now this was the thing that they ran on it. Like, the 2 top people in the DOJ were on podcasts weekly talking about this. Get out of here.
In prison for sex trafficking.
I'm sorry, the 2 top people in the FBI, not the DOJ.
Clemency on the table for her in exchange for testimony?
I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about the case, but I know I have the right to do it. I have the right to give pardons. I've given pardons to people before, but nobody's even asked me to do it.
No one's asked me to do it. I have the right to do it. I don't know. Oh no. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, everybody. Here's from CNN. Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison in Texas.
CNN has learned that Jeffrey Epstein's convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, has been moved to a new prison. Maxwell has been serving a 20-year prison sentence in Florida. She's now headed to a minimum security prison in Texas.
CNN's Caitlin Polantz joins us now. So, Caitlin, talk to us about this new prison that she's going to and why she's being moved.
Why is going to be the question here definitely today. But we do know from the Bureau of Prisons, they have confirmed through a spokesperson that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from a federal prison camp in Tallahassee, Florida, to a low security prison in Bryan, Texas. So that's northeast of Austin. The difference there, it doesn't sound that much different, minimum security, low security, but it actually is pretty different. A camp where she was before, people move about freely, there are nonviolent offenders, where she was before, there are very likely to be violent offenders, gang members, the risk is higher. And where she is now, that would be white collar offenders, people who would not be considered to have as much risk as they would have had at places like where she was in Florida. 2 people at the prison that she is now in Bryan, Texas. 2 women, you may have heard of them before, Elizabeth Holmes from the company Theranos, and then Jen Shaw from the TV show.
That's so crazy that Theranos came up in this, because we watched that thing about Theranos last night on Catterday, about that fucking rapper who wants to be the new Theranos.
Wives of Salt Lake City. Those are the types of women, nonviolent, white-collar offenders, where Ghislaine Maxwell is now. But you asked why. The Justice Department and the Bureau of Prisons is not telling us the reason for this move. But I did speak to a prison consultant just a few minutes ago who was saying that from her perspective, this is quite good. It would be something that she would want.
From Maxwell's perspective.
From Maxwell's perspective. It's more comfortable at the camp, or at where she is in Texas, the camp. But from the Justice Department's perspective, she was speaking to the Deputy Attorney General just a couple weeks ago. That signals she may be a cooperator, and that puts her at a higher risk when there are people around her who may be potentially more violent as the inmates. So it may be one of the security decisions, but there also could be the possibility of some leniency happening here.
Wow. Really interesting. Caitlin, thank you so much for that. Let's bring in Dave Ehrenberg. He's a former state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida. He's also known Attorney General Pam Bondi for many years and worked as her drug czar in the Florida.
Oh, that's fantastic. He was one of the many people in Florida who looked the other fucking way while all this was happening. Great. Fuck yeah. Great.
Office. All right, Dave. So according to our Caitlin Polance's reporting, this is a nicer prison, fewer violent offenders, more white collar criminals. What are the possible reasons for why Maxwell would have been moved here?
Brianna, good to be with you. Well, it comes closely after Todd Blanche, the number 2 person at the Department of Justice, met with her in private, spent hours with her getting her testimony, information about the whole Epstein scandal. And now we see her moved to a minimum security facility. Apparently, this is the same facility where Elizabeth Holmes is in Texas. It's a much better facility. She was taken out of Tallahassee at a low security facility and put into one which has a lower staff to inmate ratio. These are like dorms rather than cells. There's no perimeter fencing, so it's much better. Now, is it because of what she said to Todd Blanche, or is it because during the many hours that her attorney and Ghislaine Maxwell spent with the head of the Department of Justice, number 2 person there, that they convinced him to get her moved? Because the decision on moving a prisoner is up to the Bureau of Prisons. And who does the Bureau of Prisons report to? The Department of Justice.
Okay, so, could it also be, if she's seen as someone who is cooperating, is she at risk there? And what kind of happens behind the scenes to negotiate something like this?
Well, she's going to run a fucking sex trafficking ring inside of that fucking minimum security prison camp, dude.
Really. And it's something that the attorney for Ghislaine Maxwell would have mentioned to Todd Blanche, said, hey, we've been spending 9 hours together. You can see she's testifying in good faith, honestly and openly. Can you at least send her to a better facility? I can see that conversation happening. And by the way, it happens that inmates are transferred among facilities. It's nothing illegal or necessarily unethical, but the timing, of course, does raise eyebrows because it happens right after. And President Trump is saying that he's not dangling a pardon. He doesn't even want to have that conversation. But this is part of the discussions, perhaps, that Ghislaine Maxwell looks like she did give the administration what they wanted, and as a result.
Yeah, dude, this is crazy. I can't believe that. I kind of can. CNN was like, "Oh, you were at Palm Beach, no less, for Palm Beach. You were one of the state's attorneys for Florida while this happened. All right, dude. Homeboy certainly looked the other way. This is a little bit heartbreaking here. Here is family of Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. They're on CNN and they're talking about how they'd like to see the files, so the files released to the extent that they can be released.
And I want to bring in the members of Virginia Roberts Giuffre's family, her brothers, Sky Roberts and Danny Wilson, as well as their wives, Amanda Roberts and Lynette Wilson. And
this is long. We're not going to run the whole thing.
I'm just so grateful to have all of you here tonight to talk about something that I know is really painful, but also really important for each of you. And Danny, I think it's hard for anybody to imagine the emotional toll the last few weeks have probably had on your family. What made you decide to speak out tonight?
I don't think it's even the last 2 weeks. I think it's the last 10 years. I'm speaking out because my sister is not here to speak out, and I think she would, and I'm here to speak out for the survivors.
And Sky, your sister was just 16 years old when she was working at Mar-a-Lago in 2000, and when she was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. As this has played out over the last few weeks, I imagine you were probably quite surprised when the Justice Department sent their number 2 in charge to go and sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, we were very surprised. I think, she was preyed upon by Ghislaine Maxwell as well as many other predators out there, but she was preyed upon at Mar-a-Lago. And we were very shocked and very surprised that they were giving her a voice and giving her a platform to essentially possibly make a deal. And reality to that is that there's so many survivors still out there that are affected by that, including my sister, who's not here to speak for herself. And I think it's important that we stand beside them, that we stand in front of you and in front of everyone out there with a sign of strength on my sister's behalf, because she's not here to do that herself. But we stand with survivors here, and I want to make it clear that, she does not get the opportunity to get out. She deserves to rot in prison where she belongs because of what she's done to my sister and so many other women. And it's absolutely a pure sense of evil.
A pure sense of evil. I think some people remember this and think of Jeffrey Epstein, but may not remember Ghislaine Maxwell. And I know that y'all as a family have said that at times Virginia said that Maxwell could be more cruel than Epstein was. And Amanda or Lynette, I wonder what either of you remember about what she had to say and her view of that.
Yeah, I just remember very vivid and specific conversations with her and talking about Ghislaine and almost describing her as this puppet master, and being this organizer of things and being so viciously cruel to the young women, and knowing that they were so vulnerable and young, she targeted them specifically, and she was also very complicit, in those actions. She wasn't just a recruiter. She participated and viciously participated with these girls and abusing them. And so she just described her as this monster, of a nightmare.
Well, that's enough of that. If people want more of that, that's on the docket. You can get the docket in the show notes or by hitting !docket in the live stream right now. Up next, this is horrible. This is fucking terrible. This is on Newsmax. This is a Greg Kelly, and they bring on Ghislaine Maxwell's brother to trash one of the victims who's dead. The one that the family just we just watched the family of, and to call her a liar. This is some shit here.
Yesterday, what would you like to say in response, and what should people know about Virginia, the late Virginia Giuffre?
Look, the simple position is that it is Virginia Giuffre who has lied about her role and has lied about my sister's role.
Oh God, I didn't want to run more of that because it's fucking gross. But yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell's brother is out there telling everybody that the homegirl that took her own life was lying about her own role, and maybe that she was the victimizer. It's fucking terrible. You can go out and find that if you want. You can find more of that if you want, but I ain't running it. While we're at it, let's think about maybe should we pardon Diddy? I don't know. Diddy, I don't know. Trump met him and he was nice to Trump a couple times, but then like he was fucking supported his political opponents. So I don't know.
Asked me to do it.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do.
Half innocent? No. What do you mean half? Half innocent? What? No, he was convicted on 2 fucking counts. When you get convicted on 2 of 4 felony counts, that doesn't make you like half innocent. What the fuck does that mean?
Still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And it's hard,
It shouldn't be. This shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't matter. Like, a pardon is supposed to be like, I don't even think the president should be able to do this in the first place. It seems like some king shit that we shouldn't be doing. But it shouldn't really be, if we're going to have this in place where the president can give people convicted of federal crimes leniency or whatever, it shouldn't, we shouldn't be like talking about it like, well, I don't know, he didn't support my campaign.
Things.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about George Santos?
He was not half innocent. They charged him with 4 things. They couldn't make him on the RICO and I think the human trafficking, but they made him on the other felonies, which were serious felonies. Dude's not gonna fucking get like a dude's going up or I don't know if he was sentenced. I don't think he was sentenced or not yet, but dude is not getting like some slap on the wrist light sentence. He was convicted of 2 fucking felonies, 2 federal felonies. He's going to prison for a while. He's not half innocent. That half innocent is innocent. Half innocent would mean there was reasonable doubt, right? That's what that would be, and that would in our system. That's just you walk, but the Puff Daddy didn't. P Diddy didn't walk. Fucking anyway, President Trump went to Scotland. Check this out.
As the Prime Minister, they did a great job. They've been trying to make that deal for 12 years, and he got it done. Everybody respects it. It's going to be a lot of jobs for here, and great for America. And in terms of even the relationship.
That's fucking excellent. The people's, what do we call that? The heckler's veto, I suppose, but that's the bagpipe veto. This next one is from Fox News. We're going to move on to some economic news. This wasn't really what Brian Kilmeade wanted. They're going to kind of admit to the fact that a tariff is a tax on consumers. Well, not Brian Kilmeade. He's too stupid to fucking do that. But the guest on, I think Fox and Friends here is gonna spill the beans.
I'll just show everyone at home. This is essentially 15% across the board tariff, so we're going to get some more income. No tariff on U.S. exports to the EU. Cool. $600 billion invested in the U.S. That's almost like the Japanese sovereign fund that they put into our country. I think that's $700 billion. But now they got to get $750 billion more of American energy. I think a lot of that's natural gas. You studied this stuff. You know about the relationships between the EU and the U.S. What does it mean to you?
Listen, it's a good deal. Thank God we got it out of the way. They're our biggest trading partner, and if we had massive tariffs on their goods and they put tariffs on our goods, that kind of trade war would not be good for.
Are they? I thought China was our biggest trading partner.
For the U.S. economy. I think the markets are going to like this deal. Now, let's just break down what you said. The stuff that they're buying from us, they probably would have bought anyway, Brian, to be real honest with you. They're cutting back on Russian natural gas, obviously, for a lot of reasons. they're building out their military because of Russian expansionism. So that they were going to do that anyway. And when you say we get 15%, true, but that means U.S. consumers are paying 15% more too. So it's kind of like a tax increase on U.S. consumers. That's one way to look at this.
Now that's the only way to look at this. That's what a tariff is. A tariff is punching yourself in the face. Like, oh, we're still going to buy the stuff from you, but we're going to pay 15% more for it, I guess. Like, this is fucking hella dumb. It's hella dumb. Apparently, we have a trade surplus with Brazil, and the only reason there's a 50% tariff on Brazil is because Donald Trump doesn't like Lula da Silva, because Lula beat Jair Bolsonaro, and then Jair Bolsonaro was, I believe, convicted of crimes, or is in the process of being likely convicted of crimes. So here's this is on Face the Nation.
About Brazil, because the U.S. has a trade surplus with Brazil. That means, we sell them more than we buy from them. So it doesn't seem to be consistent here when you have the president put 50% tariffs on Brazil, one of the highest of any countries. And at the same time, the president is bringing up things that have nothing to do with trade when he's justifying them. He sent a letter to the current government complaining about the prosecution of his ally, Bolsonaro, who allegedly staged a coup when he lost the last election. The president called it a witch hunt. This seems politically motivated and not about trade.
There's a 10% tariff on Brazil because we have a surplus with them. That's the reciprocal tariff. And then there's a 40% tariff that the president has chosen to do under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, like we would do any sanction where we see geopolitical issues. The president has seen in Brazil, like he's seen in other countries, a misuse of law, a misuse of democracy, what one might call lawfare. It is normal to use these tools for geopolitical issues. I mean, sanctions, we've been using them for years with all kinds of countries.
You view tariffs and sanctions as the same?
They're just different in degree. I mean, tariffs are actually lighter than a sanction. A sanction, you're cutting off a country from your financial system. You're prohibiting trade with them. A tariff, you're allowing trade. You're just putting a fee on it. It's a lesser step than sanctions.
You have moved far away from dealing with the deficit. Now you are talking about politically motivated trade actions here. I mean, the president sent a letter to President Lula saying the tariffs are due in part to Brazil's insidious attacks on free elections. Why are you trying to influence a criminal trial of an ally of President Trump?
The president of the United States
because the president thinks he's a mob boss. That's why.
Historically, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, they have used IEEPA to impose sanctions for all kinds of geopolitical reasons in all kinds of countries. Sometimes it's countrywide, sometimes it's specific to certain individuals, and often foreign leaders and foreign officials. So this is not way outside the market.
When it comes to,
he literally put a 50% tariff on them for electing Lula da Silva, and then fucking prosecuting Jair Bolsonaro for what appears to be a pretty open and shut case. Some of the crimes that Jair Bolsonaro committed, including but not limited to actively participating in or trying to help organize and overthrow the government after the election. I think that sounds a little familiar to Americans for one reason or another. I don't know. Well, all of this, Trump's taking a bit of a beating in the polls on trade, which is weird because he would tell you otherwise, but he's taking a bit of a beating in the polls on trade. And here's something from fucking Fox News.
Who do you think this really does come down to having to impress the American people right now? Is your party, Mike, you guys are not all moving in concert with one another.
No, I mean, we lost the last election, so we're having a lot of tough conversations about how we build a new Democratic Party. That'll keep happening until we elevate a new candidate. What I'll tell you, though, is I think both political parties are completely out of touch with the day-to-day lives of most Americans. There's a lot of polling out in the last couple of weeks talking about how frustrated people are with inflation and pricing and housing and things like that.
Inflation's at 2%. The GDP
inflation's at 2.9%, actually, Harris. It's the
GDP just popped.
But look at she goes, people are frustrated with the cost of living and prices of things going up. She's like, but the GDP and the fucking tariffs and no. Don't come on my show and say that. Right? Whoever, I don't even know who the fuck this is. They probably thought he was going to come on here and be like, why I left the left or something. And he fucking didn't do that. He's not all up there fucking singing the praises of the DNC or the left or anything. But as soon as he like said anything, they were like,
3%. I mean, we haven't seen that in a very long time.
If I could point you to Fox's own polling, Trump is negative 30% on pricing and the inflation. It's as unpopular as Joe Biden ever was. So the American people are pretty frustrated with where their lives are right now. There's a Navigator poll out just this morning or yesterday that has a lot of Americans saying they're worse off than they were 6 months ago.
Oh no, don't come on here. You're supposed to come on here and tell us that the Democrats are in disarray. Oh no. That was great. She fucking could not. It was like the mildest of mild things that he said. She was like not fucking happy with that. Oh, that was great. Harris Faulkner usually has her shit together. I don't like her. She's a ghoul, but she usually has her shit together and doesn't react like that. That was a little bit weird, a little out of character for her. She's usually a little bit better at being a right-wing ghoul than that. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, if she's having a rough time, she has a friend she can talk to. Here's Peter Navarro. This is Peter Navarro talking about the Bureau of Labor statistics and how there's some problems over there.
Let's start with the numbers and the revisions downward. How are you taking that?
Gross incompetence or politics. We got trouble at the BLS, and we've had it since 2024 during the election, Rob. We've never seen such misses. In today's miss, we haven't had such a big miss since 1973. And good for you for pointing out that if we had had those numbers a couple of months ago, we already would have had Fed rate cuts of at least 50 and as much as 100 basis points. So these bad numbers that they've been putting up have had real consequences.
No, the Fed, dude, come on.
For the economy.
No, dude, I don't love the Fed chair, but the Fed chair fucking probably knew that these numbers were going to get adjusted down. Like these, come on. The Fed chair has been pretty clear that he has no fucking intention of dropping interest rates to like sort of make up for bad economic policy from the Trump administration. And that's why they're either going to fire him or maybe kill him. Speaking of fired, the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics was fired because the job numbers got adjusted down and Trump didn't like it. So he fired her.
Why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction.
That's 800,000 or 900,000 job massive reduction, and I think it was not that many. Maybe it was that number, and maybe that was the number of dollars in salary that got cut. I don't know.
Said she made a mistake.
Well, it's not just her. Friend, the Bureau of Labor Statistics again. Like it's always political. It's part of the fucking government, and it's jobs. Jobs are political, but the stuff always gets adjusted. And there's like a lot of people there. The homegirl isn't just over there shooting from the hip, but like whatever. Now she doesn't have to work for this asshole. I'm guaranteeing you the former head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics isn't out there all alms for the poor wondering how she's going to fucking pay her rent. So, I mean, it sucks that this guy just goes in and like fires people when they deliver bad news, but this is what authoritarian leaders always do. So, here's from Fox News, apparently. Trump fires the labor stats lady. We could have just not even run the clip. Look at the Chiron. It is a labor stats lady. The LSL. That's the new name. Fucking job. The labor stats lady. They wouldn't have. This is just like obvious sexism. They want to make sure you know that she was a woman. You know how women aren't really good at numbers. They're like better at gossip.
Well, we get slimmer, our wallets are getting fatter. We just made $150 billion in tariff revenue and wages are going up. And any panicking that gets in the way, Trump's going to fire. Trump just pink-slipped the labor stats commissioner for putting out fake job numbers for Joe and Kamala. Unlike Biden,
no, that's not even why this happened. He fucking fired her because there was good job numbers for him, and then they got adjusted down with new information, like somebody in chat was saying. They got adjusted down, and that's why he didn't. No, he would have fired her if he, like, come on, he would have fired her the first fucking day. Get out of here. Come on, be better at lying. Come on. Fox News is usually pretty good at lying.
Trumponomics don't need cooked up reports to tell people how they should feel about their wallets. Main Street and Wall Street are feeling the golden age every day, baby.
So tell me why the American economy right now is at its highest value in history. This is not an ad for Trump. I'm an investor. Something's working here. It's a policy decision. I'm a policy.
I like how they have the Dow Jones Industrial Average right over this guy.
Things are so.
Yeah, but that's the asshole from Shark Tank. I mean, the big asshole, the asshole from Shark Tank that's like that bigger asshole than the other ones. Fuck the asshole from Shark Tank.
It's dressed to the nines. Private clubs in D.C. are swarmed with swanky-looking secretaries and cabinet officials. They're throwing on their best tuxes and gowns and enjoying the golden age over cocktails. Just wait until Trump builds his big, beautiful ballroom, and Democrats are getting taken off the invite list.
Dude, this is like the Gilded Age. He was just describing the Gilded Age to you. Like, he was like, oh, all the fucking rich people in their tuxedos and all that. They're fucking super happy right now. All the rich people in their tuxedos. Like, that's the Gilded Age, dude. That's the fucking, what the fuck, dude? Dude, don't act like the fucking Gilded, like, stop it. I have a clip that seems to have been removed from the source, but it just, somebody was asking where the evidence of the essential the conspiracy around the numbers were, and somebody got mad at them. And that's just the way that clip went, I think. Oh, here, this is on Fox, and crazy enough, Stephen Moore, he's got an old school right-wing ghoul. He actually says that the job report might be the tariffs, which is interesting because actually I don't think this Stephen Moore guy was ever a Trumper.
The expectations call for 110,000 jobs for the month of July. The unemployment rate at 4.2%. We're looking at markets this morning down 400 points on the Dow Industrials going into the number. The NASDAQ down about 200 going. 73,000 jobs. 73,000 jobs created in the month of July. Number just coming out.
And that's total.
4.2% is the unemployment rate, right in line with expectations. Here are the numbers. For the month of July, jobs came in at 73,000. That was lower than the expectation, which called for 110,000 jobs. The unemployment rate.
Wait a minute, that's hardly even. That's like fucking. That's like normal. There's just adjusted by fucking what, a few tens of thousands, 40,000. Wait, I thought there was some huge discrepancy here.
In step with expectations at 4.2%. Steve Moore, your reaction.
Look, I think this is all a result, this disappointing number is a result of all the turmoil over tariffs and the trade wars. And that's sort of good news and bad news, because guess what? In just the last few weeks, Trump has racked off a lot of victories here. As he gets more victories with the Europeans, with Japan, with the UK, I think that's going to settle things.
Oh, he figured this out with Mr. Japan.
That kind of turmoil will be over. So I think that this is kind of a blip. And so I'm still very bullish on the U.S. economy, but this is a disappointing number. I'd love to see what the number was for private sector, as John was saying. Is it private sector or government? I want to see the government employment number down, because remember, under
83,000.
Biden, so much of the job creation was in the government sector.
Yeah, go ahead. Joel Schulman, did you say something? Charles, was that you? ahead.
83,000 private sector.
Yeah.
I want to push back on that. I think this is more about the Federal Reserve. Again, we've got a bifurcated economy. The Fed is they have a regressive approach here, right? They're trying to still clamp down on this economy, but it's not working. It's hurting 70% of the folks out there. Look at delinquency.
Fuck this. These guys want the interest rates to go down a little bit so their rich buddies can basically borrow money for closer to for free. That's what they want. That's all they want. Lowering the interest rates by 0.5% or even by 1%. You don't feel it. Normal people, you don't feel that really. You don't feel shit. You still got the same. If you have a car loan, you still got the same car loan you did before. If you have a mortgage, you still got the same mortgage you did before. If you weren't eligible for a car loan before, you aren't eligible for one now. You aren't eligible for a mortgage. If you weren't eligible for a mortgage, you weren't eligible for one now. You're going to go refinance your house over the potential possible interest rate drop of 0.5%. Well, no, because that costs a lot of money to refinance your house, and you end up spending more than you gain. Or if you gain money, it takes so long to make the money back up that it doesn't matter because of things like inflation. This is all bullshit. This is just so this guy's rich friends can borrow like tons of money at a lower rate.
So look at all of the things that are hurting the average household, I think, and also small businesses. Coming into this year, the biggest question was, how would they even refinance? We're talking about financing government debt. How do we help the small businesses out there? There are two economies. The Fed's looking at the wealthiest folks out there and thinking it means everyone, and I think that's hurting the jobs market more.
Well, the Fed has very little power. The Federal Reserve just sets the interest rate that the banks then lend the money to the rich people at, essentially. The Fed doesn't do anything. The Fed doesn't set policy for what we call Main Street. The Fed sets policy for what we call Wall Street. I know this isn't like a perfect way to talk about it, but that's what's going on. They don't set the fucking policy. It doesn't have shit to do with how much a fucking pound of tomatoes is, or how much fucking bread is, or milk, or eggs, or it doesn't have shit to do with it. Unless they like jack the interest rate up to like 6 million%, but that's, okay, well, that's what's never going to happen. So it's not going to impact you or me at all.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's a great point, and I agree that this report is so critical for the Federal Reserve's next move. Stephanie, how do you read things?
Well, I'm just stunned at another number in this report, and that is the downward revision to the June figure from 147,000 to just 14,000. So looking over the last 3 months, we've got 73,000 in July, 14,000 in June, and 19,000 in May. Those are incredibly weak headline numbers, and that's the total, not just private jobs. So this is a very soft report. And I guess what I'm really blown away by is that July generally is a report where the seasonals are such that you can surprise on the upside very easily, because 1 million people roughly drop out of the labor force with the school year, the school vacation. So that sets a very low seasonal bar for the data to clear, and clearly we tripped over the bar. So this is a very weak report. And sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I guess, it certainly strengthens the argument materially for the Fed to cut rates. It's interesting because one presumes they had at least some of the preliminary components of this report when they were in their meeting on Wednesday and made the decision. They probably had an early look at this, so that probably...
No, dude. Okay, so this is fine. I think I'm not like an economics guy or whatever, but I think what's going on here is the people that work at the Federal Reserve, ghouls as they may be, banker-ass ghouls as they may be, they're not there to help you or me, right? They're to keep the economy stable for the rich people. That's what they're there for. But I think they know what the fuck's going on here, and I think they're not going to essentially reward the Trump administration for their stupid economic policy by lowering interest rates to artificially juice the economy. I think they're not going to do it. I think they're old rich guys with fucking egos, and they don't like Donald Trump, and they think this is all bullshit, and they're not going to do it. That doesn't make them good. It just makes them human. And I think that's what's going on. Again, I'm not an expert here, and I haven't heard any experts say it, but it stands to reason that they would be like, you're destroying the economy and you want us to just lower the interest rates because you're destroying the economy. How about no? It just stands to reason. Did you know that imports going down is good, actually?
Not tired of winning. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Consumer spending is up. Business investment is way up. Domestic manufacturing is way up. The real
domestic manufacturing is not way up.
Family income is up, and personal savings are up. Other than that, we're not doing so great.
Well, he's right. America's economy is looking very bright. In fact, it's blowing past expectations. Today, the second quarter GDP came in at 3%, after a contraction in Q1. Now, that means we're on track for a good year, which is not what Too Late Powell projected just weeks ago.
In our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects GDP to rise 1.4% this year and 1.6% next year.
Okay, but that's so it went down. It contracted the first quarter. It went up by I think it was 2.9 or something, 3% the second quarter. Well, how much did it go down the first quarter? They didn't tell us. So what if this guy's right? What if it ends up it would be fucking 1.4% and then 1.6% next year? What if this dude's right? We haven't even done the second two quarters. We don't fucking know. What do you mean? These are projections. He just told you that these are fucking projections.
Somewhat slower than projected in March.
I'm sorry, he's just such a weenie. We're going to check back with him.
So, but you don't know that he's wrong because it hasn't happened yet. He says projection for this year, and we're halfway through the year. Even if it was up 4% over the course of the year, it could fucking tank in the third and fourth quarters.
In December, those final numbers. Now, imagine what the GDP would have been if Powell had lowered interest rates when he should have. It's already
wait, no. You don't lower the interest rate because the president's putting a bunch of tariffs on shit. Like that's not what you. Oh God, no. The other thing is lowering interest rates generally hurts middle class people who have some savings too. Oh, this is so stupid. This is just, they just want their rich friends to fucking be able to they're like really, really rich friends, or the powerful people their rich friends serve, to be able to basically borrow money for free and, I don't know, buy up more single family homes so that you can't have it.
Now, of course, since liberals have no answer to any of Trump's successes, they simply pretend that numbers aren't actually real.
Today's GDP number is in fact a mirage because some ominous numbers lurk under the hood. Business investment plunged in the second quarter by 3.1%. Businesses are worried about growing their operations, worried about hiring more workers. Trump's tariffs.
So they're denying that we don't be loving Chuck Schumer, but if the business investment went down 3.1%, is that a lot? It seems like a lot. I don't know. Over the course of over the whole economy, that seems like a lot.
Down the U.S. economy, spiking costs.
As for the media figures who were sure tariffs would be Trump's undoing, they came up with their own fantasy lines.
Microsoft and Meta, they're spending so much money on AI. So that's another thing that could be making it look like our economy is strong.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. There's that fucking money pit, that AI money pit that everybody keeps throwing money. I don't know. Is it just that NVIDIA, is this all NVIDIA continuing to sell GPUs to people to fucking make a Garfield with a giant dick?
Than it actually is.
This headline GDP figure, it's misleading, and that's because the trade war is distorting all of these metrics. Imports, this time, they actually went down sharply because of tariffs. That actually adds to GDP. And so that's why economists say that this GDP improvement, it's really a mirage.
Oh my gosh, the mirage. That was the word of the day that went out today, obviously. Well, the mirage here, of course, is that the Democrats' repeated fear-mongering about all things Trump was a total fraud. Did they?
No, they just something like a tariff is going to take a while for us for it to play out in the economy. It's not like just the first order effects of a tariff that are going to cause the economy to be worse. It's going to be second, third, fourth, fifth order effects of these tariffs that are going to be causing the economy to be worse. Okay, at first, the restaurant has to pay more for, I don't know, fucking produce from Mexico. So maybe for a while they don't raise their prices, but now they raise their prices because they have to pay more for the fucking produce. and now you're going out to eat less, or you're spending more money when you go out to eat, and so now you have less cash to spend somewhere else. Like, does these people not understand that these things, I'm not a fucking economist, but it's like these things take a little while. It's not like all of a sudden these kinds of decisions are going to have immediate impacts that are going to show up in whatever number they're looking for. But the business investment going down seems like a good one, where they're like, uh-oh.
Understand that Trump uses tariffs, stay with me kids, as a tool and as leverage to help America wean itself off of reliance on imports. So when imports go down, that's actually good. That means we make more of our own stuff.
No, it doesn't.
We want to be our own supplier in key manufacturing sectors, like for medicines, satellites, chips, and ships.
Chips?
And Democrats,
get the fuck out of here.
They used to be for American workers, but now they're just for hammering Trump.
Get the fucking chips and ships? What are we going to build TSMC like somewhere? We're not. Like it takes so long. Like especially when she starts talking about technology, it's not just the chip fab. We could pop up a chip fab somewhere, sure. But then what about the things that the chip goes into? Like the chip, you don't just go to the store and be like, I need a chip. Right? The consumer doesn't go to the store and buy a chip. A consumer goes to the store and buys a laptop, a television, maybe a smart fridge, a fucking Ring doorbell, a fucking webcam, a display. They buy fucking, I don't know, a fucking guitar pedal that has fucking circuitry in it. Well, there's this fucking supply chain all the way over in China that builds all that stuff. I don't know, is China that way? I don't know what way I'm facing right now. So just building the chips here, this is stupid as fuck. So all that would happen actually is that if we were building the chips here, which we're not, we would have to ship them over to China for them to like put them in your TV, and then they'd come back here, probably cop a tariff both ways now. Fucking brilliant. We aren't sure what the rates are, but it's great stuff, everybody. We're not sure what's going on here actually. We don't know what tariff rates most countries are paying, but just know that it was the best possible rate. And but we're not sure what's going on. It's just going to be good for you. It's going to be good for you, and enjoy your tomatoes being more expensive.
Thanks, Caroline. For the countries that don't have a deal yet, should we be looking at the April 2nd chart at all? Or is he negotiating and talking about having a set tariff rate, 10%, 20%?
Those discussions are taking place with the trade team today, and again, we'll provide further guidance with that executive order once it is signed, and the answer to that question will be in that executive order.
Is he looking to?
So we don't know. It's going to be fine. There's an executive order. It's tariffs. This is awful. So now we're going to move on to the healthcare part of the docket, which is great. Sure. I don't know if you know this, but here's J.D. Vance. There are going to be hundreds of thousands of Ohioans, people in Ohio, who will not be able to get Medicaid. And J.D. Vance is just going to stand there like a dumb fuck and say that he's actually protecting everybody's health care, because of course he is.
Hi, I'm Morgan Trow with News 5 Cleveland. You talked a little bit about protecting Medicaid. There are hundreds of thousands of Ohioans that are at risk right now of losing access to Medicaid despite really wanting to work, but they can't. What do you say to those hundreds of thousands of Ohioans that say they will have no health insurance?
Go fuck yourself. Die. Live, work, die. And if you're not working, just die. That's what he has to say, actually.
Well, what I'd say to those Ohioans is, one, don't believe every false media report that you've heard, because our explicit goal in the Trump administration is to protect people's health care so long as they're working hard, playing by the rules. We don't want you to be unable to afford a doctor's visit, and that is what we have tried to accomplish in this legislation. Now, there have been a lot of lies out there. And if, for example, you're an able-bodied person and you're searching for work, you still got access to Medicaid. If you're a single mom and you need access to that health care to make sure your kids can go see a doctor, you're still going to have access to that Medicaid. Who's not going to have access to that Medicaid is people who are in the United States illegally.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
People who refuse to even look for a job. Now, I don't know about you all, but while all these folks here are working hard, paying their taxes, doing everything they can to bust their rear ends to give their kids a better life, I don't think that we should reward people who aren't even searching for a job. And I think that's
So that's like a big difference between somebody like JD Vance and somebody like me. And I think most of the people watching this live show, listening to the podcast, etc. I think healthcare is just your right as a fucking person. If the technology exists to solve your healthcare issue, the government should just fucking provide it for you. Other countries do it. It seems to work pretty good over in those other countries. And then that would solve this whole problem. Listen, there are things that are possible and there are things that are impossible. Here's a thing that is impossible. The price of something cannot fall 1,200%. The reason being is if something was $1 and the price fell 1,200%, you would be getting paid $11 to take it. Or $12. I think it's 11. You'd be getting paid $11. It would cost you negative $11. So, but here's the president doing math.
And I think we're going to be very successful fairly soon. We'll have drug prices coming down by 500, 600, 800, even 1,200%.
No, dude, they could come down 100% and be zero. It's right now they're at 100% of how much they are. They're just at one, right? They're at $50. It's $50. It's $60. It's $60. That's 100%. Oh, I mean, I would love it if the more expensive the drug I was taking was, actually the more money the pharmaceutical company gave to me when I went to fill my prescription. That'd be pretty great, but I don't think that's how this works. Here is the FDA Commissioner Macri talking about the lab leak on the Land of Misfit Anchors News Nation. I knew the Land of Misfit Anchors was going to be a problem.
The way we're planning to change our health agencies for a generation or longer. Look at the NIH. When Jay Bhattacharya came in there, it was a mess. 14% of the grants were descriptive studies on health equity, and the NIH had just funded a lab that brewed up a virus that killed 20 million people.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Fucking now the government has fucking podcasts.
So they're getting back to studying root causes, a cure for cancer, debilitating neurodegenerative diseases, and they're going to do good work.
Right, but you have to do it with fewer people. Is that a challenge with the cuts, or is that not really what it's made out to be either?
The FDA is strong, and it's going to continue to be strong. The cuts were consolidations. There was no layoffs to scientific reviewers or inspectors at the FDA. Mm-hmm. There was consolidation of the 12 travel offices at the FDA. And so we're going to institute teamwork and break up the
teamwork makes the dream work
in the agency.
It's an interesting conversation.
Oh, it is. It is. If only there was a fucking news anchor instead of somebody at the Land of Misfit Anchors conducting the interview, man. Best thing I did in 2024 was got my mom to stop watching News Nation. Fuck News Nation. The only cool thing on there is that alien shit. And that alien shit is just like a curiosity. So it appears that some of the fucking bro podcasters are not really in with this shit here. Some of the bro podcasters are like, that'd be funny if the bro podcasters of all people are the first people to admit that they've been fucking had. I would have never expected this, but it looks like some of these people are about to fucking cop to the fact that they've been had.
Is rebuking the base, like almost like spitting in their face. Like they are asking for it. He campaigned on it. He puts Bongino and Cash in there, which might be the stupidest thing in the history of the world. Like, why would you put the two guys that have nonstop pounded the pavement, talk about how we're going to expose this Epstein thing, and the second they get in there, like, you better shut the up.
Yeah, to shut him up.
Go on Rogan, lie. Mm-hmm. Like, it is a very peculiar thing. It worked. In that,
no, but it's not a very peculiar thing. You should have just listened to us. But the thing is, you bro podcasters, were just terrified of us, and by us, I mostly just mean Sam Cedar, if I'm being honest. Y'all fucking, you did this. This is all you guys. You guys fucking brought this in. You're like, oh, listen, they're gonna do all this great stuff that our conspiracy-addled brains need them to do, and no, he's a fucking con man. What do you think? He was conning everybody but you stupid motherfuckers. But I think this cohort of people might be the first like cohort of the Trump coalition to admit that they've been had. Not to a person, but you're going to start seeing some of these people peeling off and admitting that they've been had.
I think it moved any of the smoke off of Trump because, at least for me, I was like, there's no way that he's involved if he's putting Bongino and Cash in who have campaigned on exposing it. Like, why?
You've been, just say it. I don't even know who the fuck you are, your broken finger. Just say it. Say, I've been had. Just say it. Just say you've been had. You've all been had.
Guys, or appoint those guys, right? So I'm like, he can't be. But the fact that he will not touch this, and then this last week, him doing the distractions, bro, dropping the MLK file. Like, who asked for the MLK file? The second he started talking about Obama.
There are also historians that were familiar with MLK said there was basically nothing new in the MLK files. There was stuff in there maybe the government hadn't previously admitted to, but there was no revelations from it.
I was like, oh, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Also, like, why are you talking about Obama and treason? You got a guy who has sex with teenagers that you are protecting.
Stuff is so crazy because when Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking?
Yeah. No, but you didn't do that, Joe. That's the thing is you could have stood tall and you could have been like, you can't come on my show and lie to me after you fucking told me 20 other times on my show that this was, I don't know how many times Kash Patel was on Rogan before this, but it was more than zero. And he went on there before fucking telling Rogan that they were releasing the Epstein files. Rogan, you bent the knee. You didn't, you bent the knee when this guy told you this.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work. Because there's not.
Oh, no, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
The guy's saying there's no tapes, there's no video. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows it doesn't make any sense. The whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this?
Yes, he does. They all do. They all know that they could play you. And you will never, ever. Joe Rogan ain't never going to admit that he been had. Those other dudes, maybe. Some of them other dudes. Theo Vaughn seems a little more introspective, a little more possibly likely to possibly maybe say that he got tricked and stuff. But Joe Rogan ain't never going to say that he's been had, right? I'm trying to think of who else. I think of the big fucking pod. The only one of the big ones might be Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn might admit that he's been had. But Joe Rogan's just going to fucking, I don't know. He's, I let the guy come on here and lie to me so that the internet could take care of it. Shut the fuck up. Fucking coward. Fucking coward. So, remember the jet? Nobody's talking about the Qatari jet anymore. Well, it was in the news this week again, actually. Apparently, now, Chris Murphy offered an amendment to ensure that if taxpayers spend $1 billion retrofitting a Qatari jet, that it doesn't just get given to Donald Trump like as a gift from the United States after he's the president. And wouldn't you know it, the Republicans voted that shit down too. You know why? What if Daddy Trump wants the jet?
I think that President Trump's decision to accept this foreign plane is really an outrageous bribe. Under no circumstances should our taxpayers be on the hook for this massive cost to modify and use a foreign plane as Air Force One. The funding that Congress appropriates in this bill should take care of our service members and provide them with cutting-edge capabilities, not spent unnecessarily to retrofit a royal plane. This is massively wasteful, and actually the next generation Air Force One is already in the pipeline. And I also, by the way, think it is a huge security vulnerability.
No shit. Yeah, some other country gives you a plane. You're going to spend like $100 million sweeping the thing for bugs.
This amendment that the Senator's office offers would prevent the Department of Defense from wasting any more precious taxpayer resources on a truly corrupt and, I believe, wasteful endeavor. So I hope my colleagues vote yes.
They voted no. But also, this is absurd thinking that the fucking the Department of Defense is like, oh, $1 billion. Get the fuck out of here. The Department of Defense wastes hella more than $1 billion. But yeah, this is what's going on. They gave him the plane. Like, there's no way that it's going to, like, there's already a plane being made for the next Air Force One. It's not going to be that long until it's done. It'll be during Trump's presidency. So Trump just wants this plane. They bribed him. Like, you can't believe that it's anything else. There's no way to possibly fucking believe that this is anything else other than the Qatari government bribing Donald Trump. And it worked. I can't fucking get the fuck out of here. Like, you think that plane isn't full of surveillance equipment? Come on. They bought that shit because they thought maybe the president would start flying it tomorrow and they could just spy on him with it. Like, what the fuck? So these two clips are just kind of, they're not really apropos of anything, sort of. The Fox is the Five just continues to be a terrible, terrible television show.
No, the argument can be made that it all comes from energy. Trump makes that argument, and historically, that tends to be accurate. I mean, realistically, we have all this LNG, we have all this stuff now we're going to be selling to Europe. Energy is where it all starts, man, but we got to move on. Greg, I know you got to take on this. We were talking in the green room. Go ahead.
We sure were. What were we talking about?
I thought I was
Sydney
talking
Sweeney.
to you.
You know, yes, we were. She should run the Fed. She is well fed. I mean, she's curvy. I'm going to get myself out of this somehow. You know, they keep repeating the same mistakes, the Democrats, with this sort of thing, and I hate beating them up on it, but I'm lying. They don't understand life. I think they've become so used to how easy it is just to make a brash statement and not have to back it up, that's all that life is.
You're on the Five.
This is like instant gratification, no pain. But they forget that the recipe for a successful life is some short-term pain, some risk, followed by long-term benefits. So they won't actually be patient for, Trump will do this and they won't wait for the benefits. They'll just say, oh, the whole world is going to end, mainly because it's wishful thinking, but also because they don't understand how things work. You know, Scott Adams, I haven't mentioned him in a while. He made a great insight. Trump realizes that if a problem doesn't go away, you simply monetize it. So if we can't stop this war, a war that we're sending arms to, well, let's get paid. You know, global trade, oftentimes not fair to us. Let's throw a price tag on it. Look at the campuses. Like, you can't, you could throw up your arms about the anti-Semitism on Columbia and Harvard. No, he says, let's just bill them. You know, I talk about justice, Jessica. Making a profit off anti-Semitism is absolutely genius, and that's what he's doing to them.
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
She's like, no, this is actually anti-Semitic. Even on its own, like, we obviously, like, the thing he's saying is stupid. He's talking about people protesting. We're not talking about anti-Semitism. We're talking about, a lot of times, Jewish student group led protests. But saying that we should make money from anti-Semitism, I'm fairly certain that Jessica's right, that is in fact anti-Semitism. If you are profiting from anti-Semitism, you are in fact an anti-Semite, like de facto.
It's a disincentivizing behavior. This is who Trump is. If you're going to do something we aren't crazy about it, then we want something in return. It's like if I moved from the Five to Fox and Friends, well, in my negotiations, I would factor in having to get up at 3 a.m. and working with Brian Kilmeade. So I would monetize that. That's what Trump does with everything.
You're not getting a job on Fox and Friends, dude. Also, I will never, ever forgive Greg Gutfeld for stealing the Garfield logo for his fucking solo show, Gutfeld. Go look at that guy's logo. He fucking stole the Garfield logo. Here's one more clip from the Five. This is, again, the reason, like, the Five is one of the possibly the worst thing on television. This is Jesse Waters on the deportation process. You know, we want them treated humanely, just not too humanely.
I don't think that any of them would say that they are trying to protect rapists. And Abrego Garcia was a constituent of Senator Van Hollen. And the right continues to say he went down there and he sipped margaritas. But now that the 250 Venezuelans who have gotten out of CCOT are telling the story of what went on during their 125 days there, you know just how dangerous. And
that's so crazy. I forgot that. They're like, oh, you know, it's south of the border, so they must just be having margaritas.
Take the
them at their word.
You don't think that they were abused by guards down there? You don't believe?
No, you just believe everything you hear on TV, Jessica, from criminal illegal aliens.
That's not true. Your makeup artist that you make fun of, not a criminal. He went there because of tattoos
What
that he got.
makeup artist? You mean JoJo?
Oh my God. Did she just, oh my God, dude.
Guards down there, you don't believe?
No, you just believe everything you hear on TV, Jessica, from criminal illegal aliens.
That's not true. Your makeup artist that you make fun of, not a criminal. He went
I
there
thought she was saying it was the guy that did his makeup.
because
Okay.
of tattoos that he got.
Makeup artist? You mean JoJo? JoJo is an American citizen.
Listen.
What the fuck? Now he's talking. Oh, now it wasn't about his makeup artist, but apparently now he's talking shit about JoJo, his makeup artist,
And Van Hollen,
keep his makeup artist. Deport Jesse Waters.
when Van Hollen went down to El Salvador, that is when Donald Trump's approval rating on immigration turned. That's just the facts. Now he's 10 to 15 points underwater in the Wall Street Journal poll, which you were bragging about yesterday. 58% oppose mass deportations without due process and sending migrants to countries they aren't from. They're sending people to South Sudan who are not from.
Jessica, what are you polling at? You always mention Trump. You're 20 points below whatever Trump is doing.
What are you polling at? Nobody. Oh yeah, well you're an opinion poll. Jesse Waters is aggressively unfunny and fucking mind-expandingly stupid.
By the way, Van Halen's the guy. We call him Halen lovingly.
No, we don't. No one does.
I do. And remember when people used to just show up at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Remember they didn't call, they would just knock, and you'd be like freaking out. No one does that anymore.
No, that's called having friends. Now, I live in a secure building, and so somebody would have to let me know they're here. But if a friend popped by unexpectedly and I wasn't busy, that's a pleasant surprise. Like when I lived in Campbell, I had a few friends who had a key to my apartment. They would just come in. Pleasant surprise. And if I was busy, they'd be like, well, you're busy. And they'd fucking hang out like they own the place.
He's that guy. It's not 1975. You call ahead, you make an appointment, and Kristi Noem will let you tour the facility. That's how it works now. And I say this.
Wait, but that's different than showing up at somebody's house. You don't have a right to be inside someone else's house. This is all very stupid.
With brutal honesty, Jessica, the American people don't care that much how we're treating these people.
That is incorrect. There's no polling out there, but if you were to poll people specifically on things that are happening in this prison in El Salvador, these things would be polling at like 5%. Do you want prisoners to be treated in this way? We're talking like single digit approval ratings of certain things that are happening. And same in American prisons, make no mistake.
Before we ship them out of the country back home, we want them treated humanely. Don't get me wrong.
Then you should
but this is not high on our list of priorities. How some criminal, illegal rapist, trafficker, or wife abuser.
Wait, no, it's totally high on our. Wait a minute, isn't it? It's high on our priority list. How we treat traffickers. We ran a story about that earlier. I mean, trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell made friends with the fucking second in charge at the DOJ or whatever, and now she's at a minimum security facility. So actually, we are worried about the conditions that traffickers are kept in. It's just they have to be white and former friends of the president.
Is being housed for 3 weeks before they get on a plane back to El Salvador. We have a lot of other priorities, okay? That is not one of them.
Yeah, we can't worry about the conditions of that sex trafficker. We have to make sure that Ghislaine Maxwell is in a minimum security facility. Mind you, I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell is like a flight risk or whatever, and I feel like no matter what you did, you shouldn't be in like a prison where the conditions are horrible and you're in danger. You know, it's just interesting. It's just interesting to see how things are talked about depending on what country people are perceived to have been from. Up next, we got they're still doing this. We got to get Obama. Nobody believed the Steele dossier, but it was weaponized against Trump anyway. I still want to believe in the P-tape. I don't know what you're talking about.
Also shows you how the media is played by the deep state, right?
So
all
easy.
of this sourcing was anonymous.
Right.
This was
Anonymous. Oh, I have this.
Anonymous.
who after all of this came out, opened Crossfire Hurricane, which was the investigation into President Trump and his collusion with Russia, which there was absolutely no evidence of at the
That's not true. Well, it depends on what collusion is an illegal term.
That's what gave him credence to go to the media anonymously and say, hey, he's a Russian agent. And they just ran with this story.
It wasn't anonymous. It was Steele. It was it's either anonymous or it was a Steele dossier.
These anonymous sources, they never checked it.
Well, they were thrilled to do it.
And they all had Trump
Jake
derangement
Tapper,
syndrome.
these people. You know what I think is interesting too? It's like if somebody told you, if your doctor said, look, if you smoke another cigarette, you know, there's a chance you might not wake up tomorrow morning, and you get out of the doctor's office and you light up in the car. Okay, half of these anchors and these hosts, I mean, we can go through the list, but many of the people that propagated this for a decade no longer work.
A decade?
Okay, every time another one bites the dust, and Stephen Colbert has a podcast, you know what I mean? It just keeps happening, yet they keep doing the same thing. People have criticized James Comer, all right, who's been in charge of oversight for a while now. People have criticized Jim Jordan because for whatever reason, it seems like Republicans...
Well, people criticize Jim Jordan for a whole ass different reason, actually.
...get weak in the knees when it comes to actually going beyond investigation and recommending something to the Department of Justice. I think Comer played a role in Kamala losing the race and Joe Biden getting out of the race ultimately. I think they've done a great job. And I think they need to keep their foot on the gas because I think they are the first Republicans that are actually relentlessly pursuing the truth. And it's not easy. Republicans want it like tomorrow. I want to see Barack Obama dragged out of his Martha's Vineyard mansion in handcuffs. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. But look, this stuff, they are building a case methodically, and it could end there, Aaron. It could end with arrests, indictments, people in leg irons.
It could.
This is anything to distract from Epstein. First of all, I think they know that if they go through and arrest, first of all, don't arrest the former head of the CIA if you want to be alive. Like, I am not fucking kidding you. You do not, like, it's not great that the intelligence apparatus is such that it is, but it's like, it's not super controversial to say that there's a high probability that the CIA had JFK killed. Do you know what I'm saying? That's one you don't want to do. But also, like, they're not going to do this. They're not going to do this. They don't, if you want to see the government get overthrown by the people of the United States, you start arresting people because they ran against you or because they were the president when you didn't like them and shit. You do that. And you want to, they talk, oh, there's riots in the streets. Oh, you will see riots in the streets. Don't do that. I don't want to see that. Fucking hell, that's hell of dead bodies. That's what that is hell of dead bodies, not just the people you're arresting. But they're doing this because they're playing the hits, right? Don't worry, though. There's newly declassified documents that say, I don't know, something. They say what they say, and that's what they say. They say what they say. And what they say is something. And it's about this. It's about Obamagate, or something. Here's Chuck Grassley. You know what he's going to do? He's going to explain it to you in a clear and concise way that you understand without any word salad or bullshit. That's what Chuck Grassley's going to do.
What this Durham report is all about, and it gives information that Comey FBI had 8-10 years ago that they never followed up on. And it actually brings attention to the fact that there was either a Clinton conspiracy to make this happen, or Russian disinformation. But either way, it was.
Well, wait. So it was. There's documents. They might say this. They could say this. It could just be a copy of a Raggedy Andy book. There could be poems that Trump wrote about his daughter Ivanka, and I don't know. There may be the P tapes in there. Maybe we do have the P tape. I don't know. It could be anything.
An attempt to stop Trump, and it also proves that the FBI had a hand in it. And now, after these 8 years, 3 years of my trying to get the document,
literally, people, while Trump was the president, under Trump's own Department of Justice, people were convicted of crimes related to inappropriate relationships and meetings with folks who turned out to be Russian agents. You remember that lady, fucking Butina, or whatever her fucking name was? She was all up in the NRA. Anybody? Come on.
We know that there was the Steele dossier paid for by the Democrats and the Clinton campaign.
This is just Oppo research, and also like the dossier was already being put together. Oh, I forget how this happened. Their dossier was already being put together because Steele was I think originally intended to shop it out to Trump's Republican primary opponents or something like that. I forget. I just want to believe in the P-tape.
It was all effort of total distraction and to make it look like Russia was playing a very major role in helping Trump to be elected. And now we know none of that was true. And now with this Durham report.
You yourself just said a minute ago that maybe there was, oh my God.
Annex out, it finally proves that the FBI was covering up.
Wow. Okay.
Covering up what?
We've got from a source with Fox.
But you were like, there was this investigation that everybody was talking about all the time. And then there may have been information in there about this, that, and the other thing. But actually, they were covering up the fact that there was an investigation. Because what investigation? I'm Chuck Grassley, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, even on its own terms, what that guy was saying doesn't make any fucking sense. But here's a fun one. Did you know that Hillary Clinton was colluding with Russians, actually, to defeat her own presidential aspirations?
I happened to be on the Senate Intelligence Committee at that time, and I would beg to differ with the reports. We watched Russia playing both sides of this campaign. Russia's goal was to be able to confuse everything and everybody. Russia was trying to be able to...
Well, they fucking accomplished that. Y'all seem pretty fucking confused to me.
Two ways they could get into voting machines and into secretaries of state's offices. They were actively doing that. But at the same time, Hillary Clinton was working with Russian contacts to try to create this false Russian story and to be able to drive that. That's what actually CIA, including Brennan, was trying to rush through and find ways to be able to prove. So he's trying to be able to convolute multiple different issues there.
She spied on the Russians. She worked with the Russians. She met with the Russian spies and said, could just spy. Like, I don't even know. Now this doesn't make any fucking sense either. And this seems to be put together in a way in which the words should sound like they make sense together.
In both sides of the election, but Donald Trump did not hire a Russian group to try to interfere with Hillary.
That's not how any of this works.
Clinton hired a Russian group to try to interfere with Donald Trump.
I want to put...
Fucking Boris and Natasha get fucking thwarted by Moose and Squirrel, and that's how all this happens? What the fuck? That's not how any of this works. Of course you don't just, like, hello, operator, I need the number for the Russian spies. No, that's not how this works. What the fuck? What the fuck? All right, this one, I don't know if Kikyo's here, but this one's Kikyo from the chat gave us this one. This is pretty good, actually. So we've been covering Ryan Walters a little bit. He is the superintendent of schools for the great state of Oklahoma, and he is doing his best to dismantle the Oklahoma education system. Before all of this, Oklahoma's education system was actually kind of punching above its weight, especially in the cities, considering the fact that it's not a state with a lot of economic largesse. But don't worry, Ryan Walters is going to put an end to that. And here's members of the Oklahoma State Department of Education on KOTV6, and I believe that's probably out of Tulsa, talking about Ryan Walters. This is a little bit longer, but it's pretty good.
In an exclusive interview with News 9, for the first time, we are talking with the State Department of Education board members who reported seeing inappropriate content on the television in the office of State Superintendent Ryan Walters. Joining us, Becky Carson and Ryan Deathridge. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. And we are also joined by a third.
Oh, God. Kikyo told me this was good. I didn't watch it. I didn't know it was like this kind of good. So these people, they're like part of the Department of Education, and this dude's like out there telling everybody that porn's ruining kids' lives and you shouldn't fucking jack off and all that weird shit. They probably walked into this guy's fucking office, and there he was fucking cranking it, fucking porn on his TV. I already know what happened here. Oh, this is great. Fuck yeah.
Who was in the room and says he witnessed how Ryan Walters reacted when being called out about these images on Walter's TV.
First, we're going to start with you, Becky, and Ryan, because you were there. You saw what was on the TV. Becky, can you just kind of set the scene for me and how you saw these
He's like, do you mean the scene of the adult film that he was watching, or like of me walking into his office? Because I have I could do either, actually. Like in the adult film we were watching, if you could imagine, there was a woman and she needed to call a pool boy.
The television of the state superintendent.
Yes, we had, we're in the middle of our executive meeting. At the beginning, we had a parent that had presented about a transfer and also a superintendent. They had left the room. Ryan and I were sitting on the table that would have been visible to the TV.
I don't usually drop soundboard hits during the show, but I've already done it once. So what they saw was something like this.
The body parts are bigger, everything is wetter, everything is louder, everything is more colorful.
We had continued to talk about some revocation of certificates for teachers. I had noticed the TV was on when I first came in the room, but I really didn't pay much attention to what it was on it because been on before. The sound was not on, and I just was focused on doing it.
She's like, oh, that'd be great if homegirl like right during the middle. She's like, oh shit, there's fucking porn on that TV. Fucking grabs the remote, unmutes the TV, and turns it up, and that'd be fucking amazing.
Business we needed to do. And so at one point, after they left and we were talking about these issues, I had to make eye contact in that direction. And I was kind of in shock. I was like, what am I seeing? Are those women naked? And then, you try to convince yourself that you're not seeing what you're seeing. And I was like, maybe they're wearing a bodysuit. And so I'm like, let me really get a detailed look here. So I kind of moved forward a little bit, and I was like, no, they are fully unclothed women's body parts were visible.
So frontal nudity, could see on the television there. Yes. And Ryan, you were sitting right next to Becky. Were you observing the same thing?
I was sitting to the left of Becky, and I had probably seen it further on. I had actually noticed it the first time while the mother was talking to us about the transfer. I was in shock. I was trying to figure out how to bring it up without embarrassing the board while this parent was in there.
What do you mean how to bring it up? You'd be like, hey dude, why did you leave porn on the television when you have a meeting? Like, what the fuck?
Really also kind of thinking, surely this is just going to go off and we'll be done and we'll have a conversation afterwards, man to man, and just say, hey, I saw this, but it just continued. And the time we got through all of that is when Miss Carson had actually made her comment. And
so describe the video again. Now, you knew clearly these were naked women. You described the video as being retro. It was kind of older video, and that was obvious?
That was correct. It was an older video. It was more grainy.
This guy's a porn fan. He's a fan of retro porn, VHS porn.
It wasn't vibrant in color. It was, I relate it maybe to Three's Company time frame, maybe MASH time frame. I could be off on that, but I'm just saying that was the kind of things. The style of the other clothing, that the ones that had clothes on, kind of reminded me of a wide red and white striped shirt. And one image I have in my mind is a guy's got a white hat, kind of a Gilligan type hat.
Oh, Gilligan. It was like Gilligan.
Hat, I think you would call it.
Like a Gilligan's Island porn.
So when does the shock wear off that you're seeing naked images, and then it's ready to say, kind of, what the heck's going on here?
I don't know that it actually wore off for me until we left. So after the comment Ms. Carson had made, I don't recall who made the comment. He did whatever he did, and he came back. And what I mean by that is he executed the TV to be
the state superintendent.
He executed the television? Talk about killing the messenger. Do you mean he turned off the TV? Or did he have the television executed?
Off the TV at some, I don't even know if he turned it off or changed the channel, to be honest with you. I don't recall.
Let's just kind of jump back.
No, he executed
because
it.
Becky, you were the one who was vocalizing disgust or shock of what was going on. Tell me, what did you say? How firm was that? And what happened?
How firm? We didn't get to that part of the fucking film yet, actually.
Action after that.
It was pretty firm. You know, and I've gone back over it in my head to think, you know, if this had just been, you know, the TV was a distraction, you know, I probably would have just leaned over and said, hey, you want to go turn that TV off? It's a distraction. But I was in such a shock of what I was seeing, and to the point of almost feeling violated of what I was seeing, that I wouldn't say go on the attack, but I kind of basically treated him like a 15-year-old son.
What'd you say?
I said, what am I watching? What is on your TV? Get it off now.
And what did he do? What did he do?
He was kind of looked at me, and then he turned around and he said, oh my gosh, what is that?
Oh my gosh, what is that? How did this adult film end up on the television in my office? How did this happen? The fucking trans people did this to me. It was the trans people. They did this to me. I was hacked.
I've got to get that off. And he stood up, picked up the remote, and then he was like, I can't get it off. And he's fidgeting with it.
Oh no. That was the gay furries. Look, there's a fucking litter box under the TV. I don't know how to change the channel from the porn channel. That's not the exoneration you think it is, buddy.
And I said, get it off immediately. Get it off now.
Was his reaction the shock that you guys were feeling?
I don't think it was shock of the reaction of what he was seeing. I think it was his reaction to, I compare it to a teenage kid that's been caught doing something wrong.
And Ryan and Mike, do you corroborate that interaction? I mean, did Becky describe that as to the state superintendent's reaction in the room?
I did not see his reaction. I think I probably...
He's like, I was fixated on the pornography. Thank you very much. He's like, but this is not, you know, even if he was, like, critical support to this guy, he was like, damn, them some nice titties.
My forehead and head fell because it was like, oh my gosh. I obviously knew what she was talking about because I had seen it. And I think I probably kind of dropped my head and it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And I don't know how to.
If there was somebody in there that fucking Chromecasted that shit to his TV, critical support to that person.
That I don't know how to describe it except it was a shock factor. And anyway,
and Mike, yeah, go ahead.
These are very serious things we discuss in there. We were deep into our discussions, thinking about things that affected people's lives, and just suddenly, as she said, Becky exclaimed, "Oh my gosh, what is that? What is that? Those are naked people." And said, "Go turn that off." And Mr. Walters just quickly turned around, looked at it, and got out of his chair very rapidly. I couldn't hear what he said, and I couldn't see where the TV was or what he did over there. But he went over there and apparently turned it off. He came back down, sat down in his chair, didn't say anything. And we were just kind of looked at each other like, what just happened? And then we just went back to work. Someone said something and said, had a question on the case, and we went right back to the case.
I think we are so grateful for your talking with us today here on News.
So that's about a 30-minute segment that includes the superintendent's response. So we're going to come back to that actually during a red light. That's great though, because it's like fucking porn for me and the Bible for you. This dude, if we've been following this Ryan Walters guy for a while, Kiko from the Discord, longtime viewer here, had put us onto Ryan Walters and what a giant piece of shit Ryan Walters is. Kiko, I believe, is immigrated from Japan to Oklahoma and is very concerned about the state of education in Oklahoma. As a person from Japan, you might be fairly understandable. And shout out to Kiko for bringing this to our attention, and we'll check out the rest of it during Red Light. We have a couple good things for Red Light this week, actually. So if you could imagine this, apartheid Clyde is not paying his contractors. This is more from CNN.
A CNN investigation has found that Tesla, Elon Musk's most famous company, has a pattern of not paying contractors who do work for them even after the work is completed. Musk is the world's richest man, and while he may be known for his ruthless cost-cutting approach, the companies going into business with him aren't expecting to be left unpaid. CNN's Kyung La went to Texas to follow the paper trail.
How would you characterize what Elon Musk's company did to you?
It was devastating what they did.
They is Elon Musk's Tesla, and it had hired Jennifer Meissner's piping and welding company. But she says working for Tesla led to her financial ruin. And a CNN investigation found dozens of small businesses like Meissner's claim Tesla never paid them for work they did.
Is someone like you able to fight the world's richest man?
No.
No, this is where the government needs to step in. This is fraud. This is just straight up fraud. This is not just a civil matter. This is a legal matter. This is illegal. If the number is enough, this is a felony.
I wanted to fight them because we were in the right. No small company can litigate against Tesla. You have to take the hit.
So this is where Meissner says all her troubles began at the Tesla Gigafactory here in Austin.
Independent contractors like Meissner built this sprawling factory. Meissner says Tesla stopped paying her after she'd already done the work here, owing her $1.6 million. And she's not the only one. A CNN investigation found 97 other small businesses say Tesla owed them a total of more than $110 million in the last 5 years. Now, Tesla still owes more than.
We're getting into class action. There's some fucking Dragon Slayer ass fucking law firms out there. You start talking $100 million. There's some law firms out there that have dramatic and significant resources from coast to coast in this country who they like the money they get from the class actions, but a lot of them dudes, they get off on slaying the dragon. So we're getting into that. Some law firm, the head of some law firm gets off on slaying the dragon territory if we're hundreds of contractors over $100 million.
In unpaid bills to some of those businesses for work already done. We found most of the accusations against Musk's companies here in civil court in Austin, revealed in thousands of pages of documents.
What I am looking at are a number of liens. Now, a lien is an official document that says my company is owed money for work that has been done. Most liens eventually get paid, but that's not always the case for Tesla.
A Houston fuel company claimed it's owed more than $2.6 million, saying Tesla.
This is also in Texas. This is also the kind of shit that get you killed. You'll get killed. You start pissing off a fucking bunch of good old boy oil men in Texas, you're going to end up dead. It don't matter that you're the richest man in the world. This is the kind of shit that might get you killed.
That claim was recently resolved. Another Texas company says Tesla ignored written notices and refused to make any payments. Tesla countersued. An Austin company says it took out short-term loans when Tesla wouldn't pay it nearly $600,000 for work it had done and filed for bankruptcy. Those companies ultimately settled with Tesla.
$108,000. This one's $344,000. More than $1 million cited here.
It's
fucking Elon Musk is going to sue that lady.
Just a way of doing business at that point. It's not a one-off. It's not just the companies. It's everyone involved in that company. It's a lot of people to disappoint and hurt.
Meissner had to take out short-term loans to keep her company afloat and went bankrupt. She eventually settled with Tesla in court, and they agreed to pay her subcontractors $650,000. But Meissner herself wasn't fully paid.
Material.
Oh, that's because the subcontractors. Oh, she was like the fucking. Sometimes being a middleman or whatever is good. Sometimes you get squeezed, right? Because her subcontractors were probably suing her because she wasn't able to pay them. Oh, I feel so bad for this lady.
We had up to 60 men. The men is what hurt the most because they believed in us, because we were told it was going to be paid. So they worked for no money. For me not to be able to pay them was difficult.
Because, like, you know, you might view this and be like, oh, you know, she was owed $1.6 million. No, she owed like 95% of that money to other people, right? She was not standing to make massive amounts of money on this project.
So what does the red mean?
Red means that we were still waiting for payment.
Court hearings and balancing her books now rules her day to day. She works 2 jobs to pay the debt and is trying to restart her company, Professional Process Piping. Her main goal?
Oh, maybe you should, lady. I know it sucks, lady, but go, like, you seem like a very competent and a good person. You should go work for somebody else, taking care of their books or whatever. On the business side of a company like this, lady, you probably pick up a pretty good salary. Especially you tell the right person what happened, you can probably pick up a pretty good job. Then you're not the one getting fucked over next time.
Home for her special needs daughter.
The fear is losing it. The fear is having to give that up to be able to pay debt from the fallout of the bankruptcy.
How long do you think it'll be before you're whole?
I don't know if I ever will truly be whole for a very long time.
We did reach out multiple times to Tesla, but the company did not respond. We did see that during the settlement with Meissner, Tesla said that they were unhappy with her company's work, but Meissner says that she only ever received glowing reviews from Tesla before the bankruptcy. Now, John, we also compared Tesla with another company, Apple, just to see how another big corporation with major construction projects in Texas compares in unpaid liens. Apple owes contractors less than 10% of the amount in unpaid bills as compared to Tesla. John?
Right, and those are probably things like that are like not yet paid, right? They're just accounts payable. They're just sitting there in accounts payable. Yeah, Apple, fuck Apple, but I heard they pay their bills. They're an old company in that way, and by an old company I mean pays their bills. So we're getting close to the end. We're up against 2 hours again. Fuck, dude. This show used to be an hour. There's a whole ass personality around being afraid of cities. And it's just basically like my age cohort, guys that look like me, a lot of fucking Gen X white guys for whatever reason, are just terrified of cities. And that's their whole ass personality. And here's one of them. He's on Benny Johnson's show.
Look, if Cincinnati needs to be put on a watch list in terms of having to restore civil rights in that community, it's an imperative. Look, it kills me. Look, my job is to drive economic development to Ohio, but I'm not going to gloss over or pretend nothing to see here. We got to get the facts out. We got to shine the daylight on it. Look, we've lost American cities. Chicago's lost. I used to love going to Chicago. I don't go to Chicago. I used to love New York City. My daughter and my 2 grandbabies and my son-in-law used to live in New York City. They've moved out of the city. We can't just give up and say these radical lunatics, well, they let them own our big cities. That's what Gotham looks like. And we can't let America get there. We need to
Gotham. Oh no. Batman is a fascist though.
Play them. And thank God we have President Trump in office, because a Biden Justice Department would probably arrest me for saying that this should be looked into. So we have a great administration. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to protect the citizens of Cincinnati. We're going to make Cincinnati a place that you can have a good life. We can go out to dinner and you can be protected and you don't have to worry. Holly said something to me that really shook me. She says, I will never enter the city limits of Cincinnati again in my life. I'd be too afraid.
Good. Stay the fuck out. Stay the fuck out. I heard Cincy's a hell of a town. I heard it's a lot of fun. I heard Cincinnati has like a art content creation scene coming up, and there's still fucking warehouse parties because you can still get away with it. I heard Cincinnati's hella fun. Stay the fuck out of Cincinnati. Stay the fuck out of Cincinnati. I would love to. I've never visited Cincinnati. I should go visit Cincinnati just to fucking piss this guy off. Although I don't really have any money to go visit anywhere. Though I heard they pay you to visit Cincinnati because their city's falling apart. But there's like a personality, a whole like media thing about like being angry at or afraid of cities. And it's fucking stupid. I live in Oakland. People are like, oh, even fucking libs are like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, what do you mean, am I okay? I had friends ask me that, are you okay? I'm like, where the fuck do you think I live? I live in Oakland. Like, it's fine. It's beautiful. Lake Merritt's wonderful. There's great restaurants here. What they mean by our cities are gone is crime is at historic lows, but you know, they're woke, right? The cities are like queer, very queer friendly. A lot of gay people be living in the cities and living a good life and not living in too terribly much fear of being gay bashed. When there's protests against fascism, those are centered in the cities because it's a lot easier to gather people together in the cities. That's what they're talking about. And they still think that the inner city is full of black people. They still mean black people too. So this is fantastic. This is Alan Dershowitz was on Martha's Vineyard fucking at some like kind of like a farmer's market. Somebody at the farmer's market was like, "Hey, aren't you Alan Dershowitz?" or something like that, I suppose. And then he said, "Yeah." And they're like, get the fuck away from my booth. Watch. Here's the first clip.
Hi, won't sell me. Come over here for a second, we'll talk.
She's like, everyone but you can have a free pierogi. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm videotaping. That's fine. I'm also the air search. And I've been buying pierogi from this guy for a long time. Okay. But when I asked him to sell me pierogi today, he said he refused to. Okay. Because he doesn't like my peers. Okay.
No, because you're Alan Dershowitz, because you're a dirtbag. That person's, they're on Martha's Vineyard. That person's probably a fucking Republican.
He's an open public next to some black today. He wouldn't be allowed to be here. So, my interpretation is similar to restaurants. They are private establishments. They have the right to refuse.
Being a giant piece of shit actually does not fall under the protected classes, actually.
Okay. So, having restaurant experience in Massachusetts myself, and my knowledge of it, establishments are private establishments and have the right to refuse customers of their choosing for. I understand what you're saying. The best thing.
Oh, is the Dersch gonna sue that lady? If the Dersch sues that lady, she's gonna raise $1 million, $2 million, right? I hope the fucking Dersch fucking sues that lady.
Right now?
Well, so Ducky in the chat was asking, is it free? It looked like she was giving out free samples to people in order maybe to sell some pierogi.
Further, you're concerned about this, you can do that for legal means, but I'm asking you not to remain in front of them. I've asked you to ask for space, I think. They've asked to give them space. So, space. Yep. But I'm going to videotape, and I'm going to put it online.
I'm going to litigate, and oh, it is online, friendo, and it's amazing. I'm going to litigate. Oh my God, the great pierogi trial of probably wouldn't hit the courts till 2026. The great pierogi trial of 2026. I'm fucking here for it. I want to see Alan Dershowitz get deposed about what happened when he tried to buy a fucking pierogi from this, or tried to get. I want to see the deposition.
Now, I'm being very concerned. This is also private property. Yeah. Okay. No, this isn't private property. No, it isn't. This is not private property. This is the ag home. It's not private property. It's not. It's not completely private. I am well versed. Yeah. They couldn't say no blacks allowed, right? No. And they couldn't say no Jews allowed. Right.
So if it's like county property or whatever, the way this works, if it's the fairgrounds, right, and somebody rents out the fairgrounds for the purpose of an event, it is treated like private property because someone has rented out the fairgrounds. I think that's what happened here. Some organization, some group, maybe the people that are selling here got together. Who fucking knows? But somebody rented out the fairgrounds or this, which is like county or city property or whatever. But once somebody rents it out for their event, it is treated as if it is private property. This is just the way it is. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to kick you out of a concert in a lot of cases because the city owns the venue.
You can't say no Trump supporters.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. But that's not it. Homie, that's not it. They knew who you were. I go up there. They don't know who I voted for, right? She don't know who I voted for. She might fucking hate Hillary Clinton and she might hate the Democrats for all I know. She don't know who I voted for, and she don't care. She's going to give me a sample of her pierogies because she thinks I might buy a fucking pierogi, which I might if they're good, if I'm already at Martha's Vineyard. My God. Maybe the pierogies at Martha's Vineyard or Chef's Kiss. But you're Alan Dershowitz. Everybody knows who you are, and nobody wants you around.
They are making judgments on their opinion as a private establishment. They can't do that about gays and Asians. No, exactly. There is stuff written, I believe, to discover that. No, not to discover it. It's illegal. So, private establishments have the right to refuse. We've already covered this. I'm a professor of constitutional law. Perfect. I know the law of Massachusetts very well, and the law of Massachusetts is that you can't discriminate on the basis of religion, you can't discriminate on the basis of race, you can't.
But being Alan Dershowitz isn't any of those things.
I don't think you should be entitled to discriminate on the basis of.
So this is great. There's more. There's more of this. We're gonna run the. There's a. Here's part 2. I don't know why they're not just telling him to leave. Just get out. Just leave, dude. Fucking leave. Nobody. Other people at the other booths probably don't like him either, right? He just really wanted a fucking pierogi. You think that this is Martha's Vineyard. This is all like fucking rich people, dude. Like rich people who have like it's not even a side hustle. If you're on Martha's Vineyard, you're selling pierogies. It's because you're rich and you don't have anything else to do. It's like the actions of the idle rich.
I hear what you're saying. You have the right to that view. I'm not disagreeing with you. So I am asking you to get the vendors. But nobody else is doing this. He's the only guy. I've had 3 different vendors along this road comment. Have the person who's in charge come and talk to me and see whether this guy should be allowed. Delegated to me right now.
Did he just tell the cop instead of telling the person at the pierogi stand to get the manager? Did he just tell the cops to go get the manager? I think he just told the cops to go get him the manager. This is like the most fucking privilege, like the absolute epitome of privilege here. Oh, that's not security. That's a fucking cop. That appears to be a police officer.
Here at request of the farmers market management. I mean, if I've done something, that's fine. If I'm exercising my personal rights, then that's really not. If you would like to stand off to the side, and approach on foot the Vineyard jail, I've been here. I am.
All right, so it's real hard to hear, but I heard that there's a bit of a payoff in the third video here. So we'll see if that's true. Word on the street is there's a bit of a payoff in the third video here. Not the payoff you're hoping for, I don't think, but payoff nonetheless.
On this premises, you'll be asked to leave because you'll be disrupting the business of this premises. Okay, I want you to say it again. If you disrupt the business, no, you didn't say it. If I tell people not to buy from a person who discriminates and won't sell to me, you're saying that would be somehow illegal? What I am saying is if you disrupt business, if you walk around and start talking negatively about the vendors. I'm allowed to talk negatively about this vendor.
Yeah, whoever rented this place, if you go around and start telling people not to buy from the vendors, they're going to have you kicked out.
If you do that on private property, okay. So who's the owner of the property? The agricultural. So have they made a decision to exclude me? No. So they've leased it to the farmers market. The farmers market has brought it to my attention. Who is the head of the farmers market? Right now, I am the representative because they asked me to represent. I want to talk to the head. Okay. Would you bring me?
The little kid, the little kid's like, fuck Alan Dershowitz.
To the parking lot by that woodshed. I will go discuss with him to bring him over and talk to him. If he doesn't come to talk to me, I'm going to come back.
He's just trying to get him off the fucking. He's just trying to get him out of the farmers market. Good job.
One of our vendors videotaping. I will request that you depart the premises. If you don't, then it'll be a trespass issue. Okay, do you enforce trespass?
Maybe take him out behind the woodshed.
First of all, I'm buying. Let me read you. Okay, so I've already ordered. Let me buy it. Okay. Don't interfere with it. You have the right to stand on public property and express your First Amendment rights. No, I have the right to stand where the First Amendment is being violated and express my rights in a relevant time.
It doesn't pay off. I thought there was let me check. I thought there was a video of him being like escorted out. But anyway, they just didn't like him, dude. They just don't like him. So the way this works is pretty simple. That may be fairgrounds or county property or whatever, but the farmer's market, whoever runs the farmer's market rented it. And for the purpose of that event, that is now private property because it's being rented by a private entity. And when you're renting that, you are now treated as if you own the space during the time that you rent it. That's all. We got 3 more, man. This one went long. Here's testosterone and politics with Charlie the Face.
And subscribe to our podcast. I want to dive a little deeper into this because, again, all this news that we are seeing, I'm interested in trends right now. Where are things trending? And the trends are holding. This was not just a Trump phenomenon. And, a lot of Democrats, they're trying to show like, well, I can lift weights and, me bench pressing, that's going to win over younger men. I do think that there is a direct correlation between someone's testosterone and their politics. I would love to have a study done on this. On young men, the lower their testosterone, the more likely they are to be Democratic. Of course,
I would love this study to happen too, because it would he would show no correlation. Because when he thinks high testosterone means like lifts weights. That's not what it is.
Probably not a one-on-one. It's not a one-to-one. Oh, Shane says it's scientific. Oh, great. I bet.
Oh, well, Shane said it was. Who the fuck is Shane?
I bet that the lower your testosterone is, the more likely you are to be controlled. To be, yes, I'll take the 9th booster shot. Please boost me harder.
But wait, this doesn't. Pew Research is showing some incredible partisan shifts, right? But this has nothing to do with testosterone.
Daddy government. Yes, Pfizer, I'll do whatever you want. Where the higher testosterone rate, you're like, no, I'm not actually I'm going to think for myself. I might not agree with you all the time. The lower testosterone, the more compliant you are. And there's a lot of reasons why testosterone rates are going down. Microplastics is probably the biggest. Our diet is crummy. And so the more that we are seeing the Democrats pander, they're actually fighting biology. Democrats are not going to be able to win over high testosterone men because they're too self-directed. Here's the study. Testosterone eliminates strategic pro-social behavior through impacting choice consistency in healthy males. Said differently, quote, we show that exogenous.
Don't fucking stop. You don't understand what you're reading. We don't infer anything. We don't make any big, broad statements about society based on one study either.
Testosterone fully eliminated strategic, feigned prosociality and thus decreased submission to audience expectations. Said differently, the lower your testosterone is, the more likely you are going to be subservient and compliant. Our republic needs alpha men.
Such bullshit. Oh, this is such fucking bullshit. Friends, Charlie's going to be the president one day after all. This has been a Greg Kelly heavy episode, but here's Greg Kelly. Charlie, with all his fucking testosterone, is going to be the president one day.
I'm proud to say we led with the GDP
Yes,
and the trade and the 1.3 trillion because
I know you did.
Hasn't been emphasized enough. But hey, do me a favor. Look at these presidents. We were just talking about your typical standard president. I noticed something about these guys, and I want to take you through it. They all got into politics young, and there's nothing wrong with getting into politics young, and then they became president. They started working their way up the ladder.
Wait, that's pretty weird. They're showing Herbert Walker Bush over there like he only got into politics at age 39. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Get the absolute fuck out of here.
Trump got into politics at
he was the head of the CIA.
Age of 69. And I felt like, he accumulated world-class talent. None of these guys had world-class talent at anything. You know what I mean? They were effective politicians. And a case can be made for an older person who has world-class talent, contributions that could be made in some sector other than politics. That's what President Trump has brought to the table, and I think it's magnificent, and I think it's worthy of emulation. Might be impossible, but I like the idea. Can I just get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there will never be another President Trump. But understand, he brought his business expertise, his business acumen to the international order. They're not used to dealing with somebody like President Trump. You see, he is willing to use tariffs to defend American workers. He is willing to stand up against all
the other countries are just waiting this guy out. They're waiting for him to die or for somebody else to get elected. They're just waiting him out. Especially China.
Remember, during Liberation Day, the market went down. Everyone was panicking. President Trump stood resolutely. Now the market is at record highs. We have record-crushing market caps. And you look at where we are at the end of July, almost every single one of these experts is now eating crow, as they should. Every one of these experts now, they made these bold proclamations that were wrong, and now the other countries are begging to get into the United States. They are begging to get
No, they're not.
into our markets. Because
maybe, but this is all that these other people aren't stupid. They're like, oh, you just got to flatter this guy. I know it sucks. You just got to flatter this guy. That's it. That's what they're doing. That's what I'd do.
Most desirable, hottest country on the planet, thanks to President Trump's leadership.
And Charlie Kirk, if you look at the blogs and you look at the websites, a lot of folks think that you're going to be leading this country someday. We'll have to talk about that in the not too distant future. Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, you changed the world. You helped change the world, and that's amazing. TPUSA.com. Thank you very much, Charlie.
You're the greatest, Greg. Love watching. Thank you.
Oh, I'm going to throw up. We got one more, and then we're going on into red light. I'd forgotten about Michael Knowles, who's like the C team or something over there at Daily Wire. And there's some problems over at the Daily Wire, but I think Michael Knowles, because he is a talentless hack and doesn't really have an audience of his own outside of the Daily Wire, I think Michael Knowles is going down with the fucking ship over there. I think Matt Walsh is going to jump ship, though. I think Michael Knowles is going to go down with the ship because he is a talentless hack that the only thing that he offers to anybody is this kind of bigotry, and that's it.
This is horrifying. It's a crime against children and against nature and against common sense. Obviously, little babies need their mommies. And you know what? Kids need their daddies too. And they're not going to do as well if they're being raised by two men who are selfishly purchasing kids, or two women, or a single
selfishly purchasing kids. Do you mean like adoption? Does he mean adoption? Selfishly, like, so a gay couple or a lesbian couple, like a same-sex couple that adopts kids, they're being selfish. They're purchasing children. It's selfish.
Intentionally depriving a child of a parent. Obviously, look, it's a fallen world. Sometimes spouses die. Sometimes divorce even happens, though we want to discourage that as much as possible. It's a fallen world, and we make do with what we can. But to intentionally set a child up for failure in this way, this
is incorrect. First of all, like at the very beginning, it was like a self-selecting group of only like the best and most stable same-sex couples that were even allowed to adopt kids. And at first, the numbers were that the kids were doing great because it was, you had to essentially be rich to adopt if you were a gay couple. And now it's just like in everybody else. They adopt the numbers are sort of starting to even out as you would expect that they would. Regression to the mean and all that.
The delusions and selfishness of adults is horrifying. Okay, now there's one question probably lingering, which is, well, how did the Rosenfeld study, the one study that the LGBT people cite, how did that study conclude that the kids turn out just as well? Because they cooked the data. That's how. This study from Rosenfeld out of Stanford 2010 excluded children who had changed domicile during the preceding 5 years of the analysis.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because that's a turbulent time. But it excluded it from both groups. I don't even read the study, but if you were comparing like same-sex adoption with straight people adopting or whatever, and you exclude the kids who had to move in the last 5 years so that you're studying the apples to apples on both sides. It's fine. That's how studies work.
So they said, okay, well, we want to just measure stable households.
Right.
So we're going
Well, on both fucking sides of the ledger, you stupid fuck. Both sides of the ledger.
Kids who changed homes in the previous 5 years. When they did that, they significantly reduced the sample size of the homosexual households.
And the straight straight households that adopted, they reduced the sample size.
Because the homosexual households are intrinsically less stable.
Wait, why?
So he basically begged the question in the survey and came up with the.
That's not what begging the question means. All they did in the survey was compared apples to apples.
Of doing it intentionally, but it's bad science, and it came to a false conclusion that has been disproven by countless studies and by common sense. And
by countless, I think he's leaning pretty fucking hard on the common sense thing there, and not the countless studies.
Right reason, and by everything. This is completely unacceptable. I know this is a hard saying. Listen, I grew up in New York, LA, and I went to the gayest university in the world. A disproportionate number of my friends over the years have been, of eccentric sexual desires.
Of eccentrics, could you just call them gay? Maybe just say light in the loafers if you're trying to be fucking cute about it. I heard Michael was a little light in the loafers. That's what I heard.
Things like that. So I really don't say this from a position of irrational animus or hostility or anything like that. This is just...
I'm not irrationally. I just hate them, actually. It's totally irrational. I fucking hate them, and they shouldn't be able to raise kids.
It's wrong by every measure, and it's really horrible for children. Even if one of the so-called daddies isn't a registered child sex offender, as he is in this case, it's just wrong. It's just bad. This is completely unacceptable and should be banned immediately, period. We will look up, mark my words, if you're a lib, there are plenty of libs who listen to this show. If you're a squishy Republican, there are plenty of them who listen to this show too. We will look back on the experiment of so-called gay adoption and IVF and surrogacy.
IVF now it's not just the gays. Now it's not just the gays. It's if you have to what they used to call them fucking test tube babies, which is fucked up, right? Like now if you have to have medical means by which to become impregnated because you or your partner, there's something going on that's making it hard for you to conceive, but you have all the right plumbing and you just have to be inseminated. IVF, in vitro. You just have to.
With the same moral horror with which we are already beginning to look back on transing the kids. We were transing the kids. In some places, they're still transing the kids.
We weren't transing the kids.
It's clearly falling out of favor. We were transing the kids in a robust and excited way. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we are already beginning to look back on that experiment.
So we're already looking. No, this is just you did a satanic panic about it.
Experiment with abject moral horror.
Well, you didn't do it. You're not popular enough. But people in your cohort did a fucking moral panic about transing the kids.
We will look back on gay adoption and surrogacy and IVF in exactly the same way.
No, we won't.
And it's not because all the men and all
the same shit people were saying about interracial marriage. I wonder if he'd say this about interracial marriage if pushed.
Women have terrible intentions and terrible desires. Many of them have very good desires and very good intentions. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the evidence is clear. And
so are the kids going to hell or just the gays?
Evidence is deeply sinful, and we need to cut it out.
We need to cut it out. No, listen. First of all, if you adopt kids, that is great, as long as you're not, doing it for horrible reasons, I suppose. Adoption, you are sacrificing to help another. Most people who adopt kids are good people. In fact, even all the problems you hear about the foster kid system, most people who foster kids are good people. They're trying to help. This guy can kiss my entire ass. And I am waiting. Another shoe's going to drop over there at Daily Wire. I heard the word on the street is they spend all their money trying to be a movie studio. And people are, not only are they starting to run out of money, but people are less inclined to invest in the project now because of their, let's say, less than conservative use of the funds that they were given. They tried to make fucking feature-length films and shit. Not just the dumb, Lady Ballers or whatever. There was that one movie that was supposed to be like Cinderella or Snow White or whatever, where the fucking lead actor that they had hired, she quit the Daily Wire and therefore quit the fucking thing. And they were they'd spent millions of dollars on the production of that fucking film. Oh, they're going under, and Michael Knowles has no choice but to go down with the ship, and I am so fucking here for that. And with that, that's the podcast part of the show. If you're still listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we're about almost 2 hours, 20 minutes into this show, as has become the normal thing for this one thing that was once a 1 hour show. Thanks for listening. And if you'd like the entire show this week, I think because it went so long, you give away the whole show. So go to patreon.com/echoplex or eplex.store, and you can cop Red Light, and you can cop the post game for free. While you're there, though, consider signing up at the $5 level. Really, really helps me out. If you're watching live, you know the drill. Stick around. I'm going to change the color of the lights in here, change the contents of my beverage, and we're going to go on into Red Light. We have a couple things to cover, and we'll probably be here pretty late this evening. What I want to do, we usually play boomers, but what I want to play something else here. Now, this is going to cause me some problems. I'm going to have to run around because the song's a little shorter, but maybe if I have to, I'll play another song after this. This is something I wanted to make sure that got in on the podcast feed, and that got in while there were some people in the chat to check it out. This is a good friend of ours, Phil Johnson. He has a song about a picnic in the sun, but it's not necessarily about a picnic in the sun. So I'll see everybody on the flip side in Red Light. Just hang out for a couple minutes.
I'll pick you up in my ride. We'll head out with the breeze and the sun in our eyes. Find a pretty little spot where we can relax and rid the country abroad. I'll spread out the blanket and you pour the wine. Charcuterie tray, we'll have a grand old time. Punching fucking Nazis, a fist right to their face, making damn sure that they always know that they're not the master race. Punching fucking Nazis so hard it gives them the runs, and then we'll sit right back, relax in the grass with our picnic in the sun. And when they throw a cig Heil, we'll give them titty twisters, then relax for a while. Nosh on some cheese while the crackers get beat, left in a big old pile. They say they've read 2 books, but they still can't read. Gotta kick them in the nuts so they can't breathe. Punching fucking Nazis, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So I hold out my hand to help one up, pull it back and yell out of sight. Punching fucking Nazis till they're calling 911, and then a black cop gets the call and stops to join our picnic in the sun. They're so afraid of being gay, or trans, or femme, or brown. Dose their Adderall with LSD, maybe they'll come around. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a snack, then head back to the fray. Smash the face with your high heels, which they secretly like anyway. We'll be punching fucking Nazis, those humanoid hemorrhoids. The boys are so proud when curb stomped by a crowd as we binge on Schadenfreude. Punching fucking Nazis while we snack on cherry pie. Ninja stars shaped just like swastikas, it will aim right for their eyes. Punching fucking Nazis, and when we've had our fun, we'll wipe the blood off and share a kiss at our picnic in the sun.